Okay, this is the before. A lot of hair. All right, it'll make me look beautiful, babe.
So yes, about 1 or 2 days after I released episode 1, my wife gave me a haircut. And the best thing that has happened to me in the last 3 years is finding my wife. And I did find her the last 3 years. Do you know how your mom says don't go outside with a wet head? Well, she's right. It means you're probably gonna get a cold, and I did. But the hair that's on top of my head is not the purpose of the story. So let's jump into the real story. Try to remember where you were in September of 2021. At the time, I'd been living in Virginia Beach for about 5 years. I had a great location. I was nestled in this quiet little neighborhood. I had, no more than a 10-minute bike ride to the beach, and it was great. I caught as many sunrises as I could, and it was one of my favorite places I ever lived, just this tiny little house. So I went back through my phone and I found this clip.
There's the sun, little birdie.
It was the morning after I just sold my company. And the only thing that I could think about was that conversation I had just had with my friend Donovan 2 weeks prior. I think it's time for me to go find a motorcycle and drive across the country and love people. So I went on Craigslist, found a bike, under 4,500, which is all I had left from the sale of the company, called my friend Kelsey, and she drove it home for me. At this moment in time, I did not have my license yet. This was the next clip I found.
When do I get a Harley? I mean, Harley's all right, but I got a bike this weekend, and here I can't flip it around. Oh, you gotta do me, Veda.
All right, sorry. Here we go. Got ourselves a BMW here, boys. She's beaut. I got an extra saddle bag for the back too. It's more like a box looking thing, but here we are. Here she is. I don't know, I'm gonna take this thing off. This is kind of weird, but yeah, look at that.
I was excited. I felt like everything was coming together, and this was exactly what I should do.
She's 1200 cc, 175 horsepower. There's another little bag. I can take that off. But
if you've ever ridden a motorcycle before, you know that 175 horsepower is way too much for a beginner.
I just gotta go get my license now. I'm trying to sign up. I'm on the waiting list. So yeah, boys, we going across America. Woo!
Next thing I did was went and grabbed a backpack, a tent, and I borrowed my friend's hammock.
Watch the water. That's actually just my fire pit cover. So, just give me a little update what your boy over here is doing. I started that fire with just a magnesium strip. I did learn that those pine needles were too wet and I needed some paper. So, good to have some tinder. And then I was gonna set up my hammock, but I'm gonna go with the tent tonight because I was missing a part on the hammock. So this is what your boy's sleeping situation is gonna look like, possibly on the road. Some of those nights. She's a 2-man. Yeah, this is what your boy has been doing with his Saturday night. Getting ready to hit the road on that puppy right there. Giddy up, people.
So in the state of Virginia, to get your license, your motorcycle's license, all you gotta do is take a 2 or 3 day motorcycle safety class. For me, the closest one was about 4 hours away, right near James Madison University. At the time, I didn't know I was gonna be sharing any of this content. So these are the only pictures I have from that time period. So at this motorcycle safety class, the bike that you learn on, it was like a Honda 400, maybe even a 300, but something similar to this red bike here, maybe something similar to this. But to give you an idea, that is That's 800 cc's less than the bike that I had back at home, that BMW K1200. It did not matter to me though. I was just excited I had my motorcycle completion certificate and I could go to the DMV. So as one does, I went to the DMV. I think it was like the next day after I got my certificate. Now, as you can see at this moment in time, I was not the best on my camera phone. In my defense though, I did not know I was going to be sharing this part of the story. My 40 days had not officially started yet. Now the reason I'm telling you this part of the story before the 40 days starts is, as you know, sometimes things just don't go as you plan. And that's okay, as long as you get back up. I think it's Paul who says in the Bible, if you're gonna boast in anything, boast in your weaknesses, your failures, your mess-ups. Now, what's hilarious to me is looking back, I thought I was gonna be so freaking cool riding a BMW touring across the country. But after 2 weeks of riding it around and barely getting it out of my driveway, I was beginning to realize there was a high likelihood I might injure myself or worse. And yeah, I'll boast in my weaknesses, but this bike is heavy. It's 638 pounds wet weight with gas inside. And when I came to a stop, my feet did not hit the ground. I was on my tippy toes. And that's just not a fun bike to ride. And that's nothing against the bike. It's just that if you have a 30-inch inseam on your pants and they're a little too long, like all my 30-inch seam pants, then a BMW K1200 is not the bike for you unless you get this thing lowered. This is the day that I realized that, John, you're not taking the bike. You're not going to look like a really cool dude driving on a bike across the country. No, it's not about that. It's about loving people. It's about looking for opportunities to love people. As I'm sitting here watching this, I'm like, wow, just another struggle with your ego, huh? It was just a different form. But I'm so thankful that happened, because if I had taken that bike, I wouldn't have been able to take my tools. If I had taken that bike, I would have been so distracted with trying to just stay alive and stay on the road that I may have missed some of the opportunities that I found along the way to bring joy to people's heart. And in this moment, I knew what had just happened. I had just been humbled. And I was going to take my 2006 Honda Civic Hybrid with 281,000 miles on it. Meet the Humbler. My good friend Chris had sold this to me for $1,000 just before he left Virginia Beach. Now the car was worth way more than that at the time. But what I find incredible is that his act of kindness to me led to me being able to go on a 40-day road trip of love. Now there's a lot more space in this car than there was the motorcycle. She got 450 miles per tank, and she was my chariot for 40 days.